What's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Mikanko deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck is an extremely powerful deck that we just got out of Amazing Defenders. This deck can easily OTK your opponent with all the amazing cards in it and can make some absolutely incredible boards. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like getting your name description every single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Ohime. Ohime is a definite 3 of in the deck, and it's just a super powerful ritual monster. As the ability, you can ritual summon this card with Mikanko Kagura, and cannot be destroyed by battle. Also, your opponent takes any battle damage you would have taken from battles involving this card, which is an extremely powerful effect. And you can only use each of the following effects this card once per turn, that you can reveal this card in your hand to add a Mikanko card from your deck to your hand, accept another copy of this card, and then discard a card. And quick effect, you can target an equip spell in your graveyard and equip it to one appropriate monster on the field, which is a super powerful effect. This card is a really good boss monster and almost like Magician Souls with how powerful it is as a searcher. We then play 3 copies of Hair, Sword of Mikanko. This card is a definite 3 of in the build, and it's just super good because if this card is not equipped with an equip card, then you take no battle damage from battles involving this card. And if this card is equipped with an equip card, it cannot be destroyed by battle, and your opponent takes any battle damage you would have taken from battles involving this card. And if an equip card becomes equipped to this card, you can add a Mikanko equip spell from your deck to your hand, which is a super powerful effect for all the equip spells that we play in this deck. We then play just a single copy of Nini, the Mirror of Mikanko. I feel like 1 copy is totally fine in this deck. This card is really powerful, but I feel like 1 is totally fine in this deck. It shares a similar effect to your copy of Hair, that if this card is not equipped with an equip card, you take no battle damage from battles involving this card, and if this card is equipped with an equip card, it cannot be destroyed by battle, and your opponent takes any battle damage you would have taken from battles involving this card. But it has a super cool effect that during your opponent's turn, while this card is equipped with an equip card, quick effect, you can target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls and take control of it until the end phase, which is a crazy powerful effect that this card is basically a change of heart, which is really cool. We then play 3 copies of Sublimation Knight. Sublimation Knight is a really good 3 of in this particular deck to be able to normal summon out to your side of the field to get you 2 monsters to go in for your copy of Awalt. Because it has the ability, if this card is normal or special summon, you can equip a Fire Warrior monster or a Gemini monster from your hand or deck to this card as an equip spell that gives this card 500 attack points, which is a pretty good effect. And the card you're always equipping to this card is your 1 of copy of Squeak Knight. Squeak Knight is a really good 1 of the deck. You're basically just using with your copy of Sublimation Knight to be able to equip it to your copy of Sublimation Knight and then special summon itself to your side of the field since it is a union monster, which is really cool about this deck to instantly get you 2 warriors on your side of the field to go in for your copy of Awalt. We then play 3 copies of Diviner of the Heralds. Diviner of the Heralds is an insanely powerful card in this deck because if this card is normal or special summoned, you can send a fairy monster from your deck or extra deck to the graveyard, and if you do, increase this card's level by that monster's level until the end of the turn, which is a great effect to be able to use with this card to be able to send your copy of Herald of Arclight from your extra deck to the graveyard to search out your copy of Ohime, or you can even send from your extra deck to the graveyard a copy of Elder Emptiness to pop a card on the field. This card is a definite 3 of in the deck, and it's just super powerful in this particular build. We're then playing 2 copies of Infernoble Knight Renauld. Infernoble Knight Renauld is so powerful in this deck that I wanted to play 2 copies of this card. It's really good because it can become a tuner on your side of the field, and if you control a Fire Warrior monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, which is why I chose to play Sublimation Knight in the deck instead of copies of Neospatian Connector. It also has the ability, if summoned this way, it's treated as a tuner, which is a great effect to be able to use, especially with your copy of Sublimation Knight, because this card is a level 1 and Sublimation Knight is a level 3, so you can actually synchro summon it into your copy of Herald of Arclight, which is really good. This card also is really good to combo with your copy of Awalt to be able to instantly get this card on your side of the field from your deck, and then be able to grab an equip spell back from the graveyard, which is just such a powerful effect. We then play a single copy of Fire Flint Lady. Fire Flint Lady is a really good 1 of that because if you control a warrior monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, which is the main effect we're using on this card to just get this card out on our side of the field, just in case our copy of Sublimation Knight gets hit with a hand trap. We then play a single copy of the Super Quantum Red Layer. This card is basically the Cyber Dragon of the deck that if you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand, which is just a really good effect to get us a warrior monster on our side of the field that we can link away for a copy of Azul. We then play a single copy of Immortal Phoenix Gearfree. This card is really good as a walking negate and is also fantastic at being searched off your copy of Azul because you can follow up the following turn with an extremely powerful monster that you can get on the field by just banishing an equipped spell from your graveyard, which is just a really awesome effect. This card is a definite one of in the build. We then also play 3 copies of Nibiru. Nibiru comes in extremely handy because you're going to give your opponent an extremely big token on their side of the field and break their board, which is really nice, and especially since we go second usually with this particular build, it makes it really easily a really powerful hand trap in this deck because you give your opponent that really big token and then your opponent takes the battle damage from your Mikanko monsters, making it super easy to OTK the opponent. It's a really awesome hand trap in the deck and a definite 3 of in this build. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Rhoda. Rhoda's a definite one of in the deck to be able to just search out any of your warrior monsters that you need when you need them. We then play a single copy of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is a definite one of in the deck to be able to stop your opponent from hand trapping you while you're going in for all of your plays. We then play a single copy of Mikanko Kagura. Mikanko Kagura is the ritual spell that you use to summon out your copy of your Ohime all the time, but this card is really powerful because it has the ability that this card can be used to ritual summon any Mikanko ritual monster to your side of the field, and it also has a really cool effect that when you ritual summon, you can destroy cards that your opponent controls up to the number of equipped spells with different names in your graveyard, and if you do, inflict 1,000 points of damage to your opponent for each card destroyed, which is a crazy powerful effect to do a bunch of burn damage to your opponent and close out the game. We then play 2 copies of the Great Mikanko Ceremony. This card is a really good 2 of in the deck that can instantly summon out your copy of Ohime to your side of the field because it can special summon a Mikanko monster from your hand, ignoring its summoning conditions, but return it to the hand during your opponent's end phase. And during your main phase, you can banish this card from your graveyard to send a Mikanko card from your deck to the graveyard, except another copy of this card, which is a really awesome effect. We then play a single copy of Infernoble Knight Durandal, or Infernoble Arms Durandal. Durandal is a really good one of the deck to be able to search out your fire warrior monsters from your deck to your hand so that you can get them directly to your hand. I feel like 1 copy is totally fine in this deck, but it's a really good one of in this build. We then play a single copy of Double-Edged Sword. Double-Edged Sword is a card that I almost wanted to play at 2 in this particular deck, but I really like just 1 copy of this card in the deck because it helps you out a lot because you can only control 1 of this card and the equipped monster gains 2,000 attack points. Also, both players take any damage, battle damage, from attacks involving the equipped monster, but since your copies of your Mikanko monsters say that your opponent takes all the damage you would have taken, your opponent takes double damage and from both attacks, which is just so cool. I love that about this card, but it does raise your monsters up by 2,000 attack points. It's just really an awesome card in the deck. This is just a super powerful equipped card in this particular build. We then play a single copy of Stonehenge. Stonehenge is basically like Premature Burial and is just a really cool card in this deck that came out of Crystal Revenge. It has the ability that you get to target 1 monster with 0 attack in your graveyard and special summon it in attack position, and if you do, the equip with this card, and when this card is on the field, an equipped monster by this effect leaves the field, destroy that monster, which basically turns it into a Premature Burial, which is super cool. This card is a definite one of the deck with the amount of monsters that we play that have 0 attack and defense. We then play a single copy of Mikanko Rondo. Rondo is a really good one of in the deck that has the ability you can equip this card only to an opponent's monster, and while you control a Mikanko monster, you take control of the equipped monster, essentially making this card Snatch Steal, which is just super powerful. This card is a definite one of in the deck, and just a super powerful card. We then play a single copy of Purification Dance. Purification Dance is a really good one-of in this deck that you equip only to a Mikanko monster, and the equipped monster cannot be destroyed by card effects. And if a monster is special summoned to your opponent's side of the field, except during the damage step, then you can target 1 monster that you control and 1 monster your opponent controls and bounce them back to the hand, which is really an awesome effect to be able to bounce cards off the field and gives you a great interaction with the opponent. We then play 2 copies of Fire Dance. Fire Dance is a really cool monster monstery boardish-like card that lets you special summon one Mikanko monster from your hand or graveyard, and if you do, equip it with this card. Then you can special summon one monster from your opponent's graveyard to their field, but negate its effects, which can sometimes help you get a monster on your opponent's board when they refuse to put a monster on the board, so you can do some damage to your opponent, which is really cool. We then play 3 copies of Mikanko Water Arabesque. Arabesque is a definite 3 of in the deck, and it's basically like an E-Telly for this deck, which is just super cool, that the equipped monster cannot be destroyed by card effects, and during your main phase, you can special summon a Mikanko monster from your hand or deck with a different original name than the equipped monster, and if you do, equip it with this card. Then, return the monster that was originally equipped with this card back to the hand, which is a pretty good effect to just instantly get you any Mikanko monster you need to your side of the field. So, that's it for these spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to be playing a single copy of Mikanko Promise. Promise is a definite 1 of in the deck. It lets you special summon one Mikanko monster from your hand or deck. Then you can equip it with one equipped spell from your hand or graveyard that can be equipped to that monster and banish that monster when it leaves the field. But that's a really awesome effect, especially with how searchable this card is in this build. We then play 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Impermanence is a definite 3 of in this particular deck, just to stop your opponent's monster effects, but also locking down entire spell and trap card columns if you set this card to the field. It's an awesome hand trap to go with your copy of Nibiru, and it's just a really good card in this deck. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Awalt. Awalt is a definite 2 of in the deck. I don't feel like you need any more than 2 copies of this card because you're usually only resolving it once anyways, but it's really good to be able to search your warriors directly from your deck to your hand and also get your copy of Ronald on your side of the field. This card is a definite 2 of in the deck and super powerful and is always one of our first plays when we're playing this deck. We then play a single copy of Underworld Goddess. Underworld Goddess is really good because it's very easy to put multiple monsters on the field in this deck, and this card can help you break your opponent's board. We then play a single copy of Access Code. Access Code is a really good one in the deck to be able to pop multiple cards on the field, especially with the amount of attributes we have in this deck, and this card can actually come out absolutely massive on the field. We then play a single copy of Appaloosa. Appaloosa is a really good one-up that can come out extremely easily in this deck and give us multiple negates on monsters. We then play a single copy of Unicorn to spin stuff, 1 copy of Selene. Selene is really good in this deck to help us summon out our copy of Access Code, and especially with the amount of spells we're playing in this deck, this card is super easy to put multiple spell counters on it to be able to summon out your copy of Access Code really easily. We then play a single copy of Phoenix. Phoenix is really good as a 1-of to pop spells and traps, and this card is a definite 1-of in the deck. We play a single copy of the Light Charmer. The Light Charmer does come up every so often in the deck, and is a really good 1-of in this build. We then play a single copy of the Fire Charmer. The Fire Charmer also comes up every so often in this particular deck, and it's a really good card, especially with these 2 to help you step into your copy of Selene to then use your Selene's effect to be able to summon out your copy of Access Code, which is really good. Especially if your opponent's playing Ash Blossom that you can bring back to your side of the field off the effect of your copy of your Fire Charmer. We then play a single copy of IP Masquerena. IP Masquerena is really good in this deck to be able to make Unicorn during the opponent's turn, or even make your copy of Underworld Goddess during the opponent's turn, which is really neat. We then play a single copy of Power Tool Braver Dragon. This card is basically a walking negate and is a definite 1-of in this deck. I almost wanted to play more targets for this card to be able to equip to itself, but if this card is synchro, or if this card is special summon, you can equip up to 3 equipped spells with different names from your deck and or graveyard to this card, which is already an extremely powerful effect. And then during the main phase quick effect, you can send 1 of your equipped spells equipped to this card to the graveyard and then target 1 effect monster on the field and either change its battle position or until the end of this turn negate its effects, which is a really awesome effect. This card is super easy to make in the deck. We then play 2 copies of Herald of Arclight. Herald of Arclight is a walking negate and also has a really good effect to search ritual monsters or ritual spells when it touches the graveyard, which is a really awesome effect for this deck to have, especially with your copies of Diviner. We then play a single copy of Elder Entity Nist. Elder Entity Nist is a good 1-of in this deck to be able to send to the graveyard to pop a card on the field off your copy of Diviner. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have not played Mikanko yet, I highly recommend it. It can go into some really awesome plays, and it's just super fun to be able to play, especially with how powerful it is. And it's also really cool to inflict damage that you would take back at your opponent. I've always loved effects like that, and it's just really cool that there's a deck finally based around it. Reminds me of the old school Amazoness Swordswoman. So, anyways guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.